Okay. And again, welcome everybody to the webinar on the Army Small Business Opportunities with their innovation programs. And my name is Karen Weibel. I'm the Associate Director for the Central Ohio region for the Ohio Apex Accelerator, formerly known as PTAC. For those of you who are unaware of PTAC or Apex Accelerator, we've been around since the mid-'80s, and we are funded by the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs, the state of Ohio, and my office here in Central Ohio, also by Ohio University. And our entire mission is to assist small businesses in pursuing government contracting at all levels of government, federal, state, and local. And this includes SBIR and STTR programs. If you are interested, we'll put the link for you to register as a client if you're not already. But I'm going to go ahead and get the program started. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Matthew Willis, who is the director of the Army Prize Competitions, the SBIR programs with the U.S. Army. Dr. Willis, please take it away.
Great, thank you, Karen. And yeah, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here virtually this morning. Hopefully in Ohio you aren't dealing too much with the wildfire smoke, but here in DC we lived that dream a few weeks ago, so it's pretty crazy. But anyway, again, happy to be here today. So I'm Matt Willis, as Karen said. I work in Washington DC, specifically in Headquarters Department of the Army, in the Office of the Army Acquisition Executive. So so my office, in general, in terms of where we sit in the Army, we provide oversight over all of the Army's research, development, testing, evaluation, and acquisition of technologies to support the soldier. So overall, the program budget for the ASALT is about $15 billion a year. So it's a pretty big footprint. And so I only provide this context for the point that, the research and development activities that we manage through my office, through the sort of innovation focused investments, are directly tied into the broader, acquisition program. So, as Karen mentioned, the focus of, the Apex Accelerators is helping small businesses sort of get into that pipeline. So today I'm going to talk about a few different initiatives we have within the Army to help small businesses get into that pipeline. But then again, knowing that that SBIR and our innovation and prize competition portfolios are not completely separate standalone things, I think should further incentivize you to want to participate and contribute to the Army mission. So now that my screen is frozen, oh, there we are. So first off, I want to talk, provide a little context about the X-Tech program, which Karen didn't mention, but it's actually sort of unique across really the Department of Defense, and that's so X-Tech encompasses the prize competition portfolio that we manage within my office. And this portfolio was actually started about 5 years ago with an objective to really make it as easy as possible to broaden the funnel for small businesses or non-traditional innovators who have never worked with the government to really bring it back to basics, to make it very, very easy. So a low barrier to entry, really a cost neutral value proposition. So what does that mean? That essentially means that, typically for small businesses or non-traditional innovators, if you're trying to understand, let's say, some technical challenges that the department or the government might have, you might have to participate in, a webinar like this, or pre-COVID, you'd have to, travel to a technical interchange meeting. And that costs time and money. So, with the X-Tech program, we were trying to figure out how we can essentially have a cost neutral value proposition for small businesses to understand Army challenges, to contribute innovative technology solutions to our needs, and to really also understand how to work with the Army. The Army is very complicated, gets you connected through mentorship and other networking opportunities. So So under the auspices of the XTech program, again, it provides non-dilutive cash seed prizes throughout the program. Based on the different technology calls that we have, which all, by the way, are on xtech.army.mil. Get direct, transparent feedback from actual Army users, actual Army stakeholders within both the science and technology community and the acquisition community. And again, objectives here are about how we in the Army can be more deliberate about broadening the funnel of small businesses and innovators across the country that work with the Army. And I say across the country, we actually have also recently run some competitions focusing on some students. We ran a competition for historically Black colleges and universities. We also just wrapped up our third actual international competition. So again, I think all of this, suffice to say, is the underlying theme is that the Army recognizes that innovation is happening everywhere, and in order for us to really contribute to the mission to support the U.S. soldier, we need to tap into innovation, wherever it's happening. So I've already sort of spoken to a lot of this, but some of the program values that are inherent to XTech, is recognizing that in order for the Army to attract non-traditional small businesses who want to partner with us or want to contribute to our mission, we have to recognize that we need to do business differently, right? So we need to pivot to operate in a way that, of course, we are still the government, we can't change everything, but pivot in a way that is more palatable and more commensurate with small business realities. So being more timely in terms of responsiveness, being transparent regarding companies that they submit a technology where it might fit or where it might not fit, right? The government has a horrible reputation of just being a black hole where you get no feedback whatsoever. And so the feedback, I think, is very important. Recognizing that, this is really all about partnership. And again, engaging and connecting small business innovators to certainly connectivities within the innovation ecosystem that I manage, but also external to that. The Army has a number of research laboratories, engineering centers, program executive office, and other depots, arsenals, stakeholders all across the country that execute different components of our research and development enterprise. So where are we today for the XTech program? So as I mentioned, XTech was launched about 5 years ago in the spring of 2018. Since then, it's grown, substantially. So we started with an open topic competition, which was essentially bring any technology and we'll help identify if there's an Army need. Since then, we've done a number of open topic competitions and a number of other focus competitions. Evaluated, I think, somewhere between 4,300, so 4,400 different technologies, giving away almost $20 million in cash prizes. But the big thing, that I see in terms of the value proposition of the Army here is, the number on the top right, which is from those $20 million in cash prizes, and this number is already outdated, but have had over $100 million in follow-on contracts. So those are actual contracts, with the government that these small businesses are now executing on based on getting their foot in the door through the XTech program. And then the other big piece, 3,000 different judges. These aren't just the same people in the Army, reviewing proposals over and over again. We're, again, tapping into subject matter experts, across the ecosystem. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention this up front because, again, oftentimes we see with businesses that have not worked with the Army, utilizing the XTech program as a foot in the door is a great way towards doing so, and we get a lot of great feedback. So xtech.army.mil, you can see some of the existing competitions and upcoming competitions. We release several a year. I think in FY23 so far, we've executed between 8 and 10 different competitions. So again, keep an eye out there. So in terms of pivoting a little bit to the Small Business Innovation Research Portfolio, which is, I think, why most of you are here today. So in terms of, I'd say what distinguishes the Army in the Department of Defense from many other SBIR programs across the government, because right, the SBIR program is a government-wide program. Any federal agency that has an extramural research and development budget over $100 million has to set aside a portion of that to fund the SBIR program. And so, this includes like the National Science Foundation, the Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, USDA. All of these different organizations have different components of SBIR programs. One of the unique things, though, about the Department of Defense, right, is we're not just investing, utilizing the SBIR and STTR programs to invest in research and development. We're also actually investing in technologies that have a known use case within our portfolios. So within the Army, I'm investing in critical technologies that support the soldier. And so we're trying to structure the program in a way that we're generating innovative technologies through collaboration with small businesses, stimulating technological innovation, and again, really connecting small businesses to our user community so that we have a high likelihood of transition. I'd say the other thing that distinguishes, the Army from, let's say, the Air Force and the Navy, do you think about the different spectrum of technologies that a soldier might utilize, on a day-to-day basis, anywhere from their uniform, the equipment that they're carrying, power and energy is a big thing, ground vehicle platforms, climate and clean tech, how we can generate clean energy on the battlefield, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a really huge spectrum of technologies that have potential application to the Army SBIR program. So in terms of the structure within the Army for the SBIR and STTR programs, I've put up a chart here on that. So we have, I'd say, three distinct but highly synchronized portfolio focus areas. So the Small Business Technology Transfer Portfolio, so that's the STTR program. So that component of the program is slightly, I'd say it's a sister program to SBIR, in that a small business must partner with a nonprofit research institution, such as a university or a federally funded research and development institute for their project. We also have, in this kind of lighter blue chunk over here, a modernization focused portfolio. So this is our technology portfolio that primarily focuses on Army Futures Command generated projects. So Army Futures Command current portfolio is really focused on the Army of 2040. So you think 2040, that's what, I'm doing mental math here, 18 years from now. So really think about what are those leap ahead, game-changing technologies that are really going to transform our soldiers and our Army, in 18 years from now. So they tend to be sort of more earlier stage, far-reaching technology investments. The other component of the portfolio in the green here is the transition-focused SBIR portfolio. So this is more focused on, let's say, the 3 to 5 to 10 year, transition period, where we're working directly with our program executive offices, our PMs, our organic industrial base, to invest in technologies that are going to transition and support, soldier systems in the nearer term. So I've already spoken to a lot of this in terms of SBIR, in general, and you can see, of course, there's a lot of similarity to the XTech program, except that SBIR, provides non-dilutive funding to support research and development or advancement of technologies within your portfolio, again, to hopefully ultimately support the Army. A lot of the things, though, that we've done within the XTech program of providing comprehensive feedback bringing in a diversity of Army subject matter experts to review your proposal. We've incorporated into the SBIR program. I'll also talk about it in a few minutes, but to the point before about operating on small business realities. We've recently stood up a centralized contracting shop that's executing all of our SBIR and SBIR awards, really to the point where we're driving down those timelines very, very, very efficiently, like to the point of some of our phase 1 awards were being executed in less than 20 days, and a phase 2 award of up to $1.95 million in less than 30 days. So again, this is all that suffice to say that we recognize that we need to change in order to attract non-traditional small businesses to want to work with us. So in terms of the overarching approach for how the Army leverages the SBIR program, and I'd say that this actually represents a significant change. If you're familiar with the Army program from, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago, this is going to look pretty different. And the point is that, and the rationale I'll say, is that Army leadership, particularly up to the Army acquisition executive, Mr. Doug Bush, they recognize the value that small business innovators provide to the overarching, to the Army and to the Army acquisition system. And so they really, he challenged me to, take the flexibilities that are built into the SBIR program and really flex the program to support critical Army technology needs. So what does this mean? This essentially means that we work directly with our Army customers. So again, in the laboratories, in the program executive offices, in the PMs, in the organic industrial base, to identify, from a cost schedule performance perspective. So I know that makes me sound like a government bureaucrat, but from what do you need from a technical standpoint? When do you need it? What's that transition opportunity? And then nominally, how much should it cost? And then we work our way backwards to shape what the acquisition strategy should look like to support those technology development needs. So for your perspective as a small business, how does that impact you? So that means that, we are releasing topics all the time. Every single month, the Army has SBIR topics that are released for solicitations. If you go to armysibir.army.mil, that's the Army SBIR website, you can get on a listserv, and every single time we release a project, you'll be notified. But again, this isn't to sow chaos. This is because again, we're structuring our programs so that they will end, if the research is successful, of course, but they will end at a point that the technology will have a transition partner waiting there for it, vice just having projects end whenever they end. In terms of the scope, there's flexibilities there, but our phase 1 projects, feasibility projects, tend to be 3 to 6 months and up to $250,000 each. And then our phase 2 projects, which are demonstration or prototype development projects, tend to be, it says up to 18 months, but I'd say 15 to 24 months and up to $1.95 million each. And again, this is all about having more flexibility to capitalize on small business innovation and respond to critical Army needs in a timely fashion. So in terms of, I've talked a lot about transition, and I'd say that if you have read the recent National Defense Science and Technology Strategy, or many of the documents that are coming out of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, there is a tremendous focus in the department on transition. So again, this really gets back to the rationale, actually, I'd say, for why we've changed some of the structure of the program, again, in that we're really focusing on investing in technologies with the hopes that they are going to transition in the end to an Army or other DoD or commercial sector stakeholder. So I know this is a bit of an eye chart, but I think that the point here is that not SBIR project is the same, nor should it be. And it can be a journey, but there are lots of different opportunities along the way. And so, when I'm briefing this chart, I often, say that as a small business, what is your ultimate outcome? It's this green dot on the right here, this road forward. So the green dot on the right is we have an Army or other DoD customer that has money and they want your technology, and they're going to utilize a phase 3 award, which again is non-competitive if you've executed a prior SBIR or STTR project that relates to that follow-on award. And so again, we're sort of starting with that end in mind, saying who's our customer and when is that transition point, and then working the way backwards. Some SBIR projects might be appropriate to start in a phase 1 feasibility, go through one phase 2, prototype development, have a second phase 2, and then results in a transition. For other projects, depending on the maturity of the capability, we might jump directly to a phase 2, or any variation, here and here forth. So again, I think that the flexibility is inherent to support the Army, and I think the flexibility already also supports small businesses. So in terms of the technology focuses that the Army has, so I started the presentation by saying, hey, we invest in everything, but that's not really true, because if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. So under the auspices of certainly the technology areas that we invest in are important to the Army, but we also identified the technical domains that the private sector is outpacing the government. So you may or may not be aware, the Army has 10 to 15 different, depending on how you count, different Army laboratories across the country, almost 30,000 Army scientists and engineers doing amazing cutting edge research. But there are certain domains where the private sector is outpacing the government, where there's a lot of private capital already being invested in these areas. And so we have prioritized these 6 areas that are shown on the screen here for our Army SBIR program. All that being said, we do invest elsewhere, but these are the quote unquote priority areas. Although reading through them, they're still relatively broad. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomy, sensors, climate and clean tech, immersive and wearables, and our newest area, which we have not yet launched any projects from, but we will be soon, is contested logistics / sustainment S&T. And this certainly is an area that both domestically and from a military perspective is certainly challenges. What we've seen with COVID and all of the supply chain issues, how can we shore up domestic manufacturing and other issues. So definitely excited to launch that one here soon. So again, I've already spoken to a lot of this, but I certainly would like to foot stomp again that we recognize within the Army that if we're going to be a valuable partner to small businesses, we need to transform how we do business. So a big piece of that is contracting. Historically, the Army under the SBIR program, we have not had the best track record. I'm excited to say that over the last year, we have changed that significantly, and that our SBIR contracts are much more simplified. We've reduced times by an order of magnitude, and again, really trying to optimize processes by innovating at the speed of technology transformation and creating a positive experience. Because certainly for many businesses, either X-Tech or SBIR are your foot in the door to working with the government, and we want that to be a positive experience for you. So briefly, I know that I'm running up on my time here, but I did want to mention briefly a few other initiatives that that the Army is executing this year, and I think you'll certainly see some impacts from a small business perspective as we move into FY24. And so they're listed here, and this is, like I said, initiated by the Undersecretary of the Army, Honorable Gabe Camarillo, last year. And he was really trying to figure out, again, this goes back to the theme. Army recognizes that small business innovators are really tip of the spear in terms of how we can, tap into innovation across the United States. So from his perspective, he wanted to identify initiatives on how we can incentivize primes or integrators or larger businesses to have more deliberate relationships with small businesses. And so, there are certain things certainly that integrators, can do that could potentially be extremely valuable to small businesses, such as, scaling up a technology, dealing with some supply chain issues, integrating, a component or subcomponent technology into a broader system that they're developing for the government. So these 5 different initiatives at the bottom are things that are currently ongoing. I can speak to a few of them in detail. Project Vista, actually, so that's being executed also out of ASALT, and so there are going to be some upcoming requests for proposals for a few different acquisition programs. And under Project Vista, it'll essentially adjust some of the source selection criteria to incentivize larger businesses to come to the table with small businesses. Also, the Army IP cadre, recognizing that intellectual property is extremely, extremely valuable to small businesses. And so the IP cadre will not only inform Army employees about, the importance of IP and how to properly negotiate any usage rights. It also help to inform and provide that, credibility across, large and small businesses that work with the Army. Obviously, under the SBIR program, there are prescriptive data rights, and under the XTech program, I didn't mention it, but we do not take any intellectual property interest at all. But this would be sort of informing for some of those bigger programs of record. Other initiatives ongoing this year. XTech Prime, we're running a competition that will have teaming between small businesses and large businesses. The Cyber Catalyst program is pretty exciting. We have our first cohort ongoing right now, and this actually allows for SBIR awards up to $15 million. So that's contingent upon having matching funds from a transition partner, like a program executive office or PM, and an integrator. But we believe that having an award up to $15 million will really allow small businesses to buy down risk and to deliver a more operational prototype than would typically be able to be achieved through a standard SBIR phase 2. And then the tech marketplace, is another ongoing initiative that should be rolling out over the next 12 to 18 months. And this is a database that will help the Army to have stronger pulse on technologies that we've invested in and developed through programs such as SBIR, XTech, our broader science and technology base, et cetera. And I won't belabor the point. I think I've already spoken to all of this, but I certainly think I can foot stomp by saying that what I've described today definitely represents a significant change from the way the Army has done business for many years. And so, again, we've been executing many of these different initiatives to understanding that it's sometimes painful to work with the government. We can't solve it for everything, but at least for the SBIR program, XTech program, we're trying to turn ourselves into a more attractive business partner, particularly because this is often, your foot in the door. And so certainly looking forward to any questions or feedback. at the end of this session. But again, I appreciate the time. Sorry, I forgot about this slide, but I can speak to that later. But I would just reiterate our websites: xtech.army.mil, armycyber.army.mil. All of our opportunities are out there. There is one more day open for an autonomy-focused X-Tech project or competition. Soldier lethality X-Tech competition is also open for submissions. And there are a number of other upcoming SBIR opportunities. So with that, I will cede the floor. I don't think I went over too long. Thank you.
No, you were fine, Dr. Willis. Thank you very much. Please, again, hold your questions to the end. I do see some questions in the chat. We will get to them shortly, but first I want to introduce one of our Ohio Apex Accelerators valued partners in the SBIR, STTR space. We work with them very closely in helping our businesses pursue this innovation space, and I would like to introduce Dan Gisser, who's going to have a short presentation on what they do to help small businesses.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Karen, and thank you, Matt. And let me get this all set up right. And,
I think you have to go to slideshow mode first and then switch it over.
Okay, and I just need now to
That display settings.
Yeah, there it is. All right, how's that? Are you seeing the full screen version of my slide?
Yes.
Great, perfect. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Karen. And I'm Dan Gisser with Ohio Aerospace Institute and Parallax Advanced Research. We recently merged or formed an affiliation agreement, went into effect on January 1st, but we are a nonprofit organization. I'm in Cleveland. A lot of the Parallax people are in Dayton, so we cover Ohio, and my colleague Anthony Gillespie is on the line as well. I particularly wanted to say that from where we sit, Matt, we very much see the Army's efforts playing out in trying to become a better partner to small businesses, and it's working. So thank you. I think you're doing the right things, and we see it loud and clear, and it's getting a lot easier. Part of our role is to help small businesses manage that work with you. And we work both at Parallax and OAI with small technology-based organizations, companies, and universities across Ohio. We're part of the entrepreneurial support ecosystem and across the state. And so we work very closely with the Apex Accelerators and Karen. We work closely with many of the other government agencies and many of the other nonprofits. The piece of it that we really bring is that expertise in technology-based companies, and particularly helping them get engaged with working with the SBIR, STTR programs, as well as the related things that Matt was talking about, the X-Tech program and other Army innovation programs, as well as other government agencies. Matt mentioned one of the early slides, the research partnerships, the modernization and transition, different efforts in all of those, and we can help companies across all of that. I've got just one slide focused on the SBIR piece, and we work, and Matt mentioned, we have SBIR, STTR programs in the Army, as well as in the rest of the Department of Defense, the Air Force, and the Navy, and many other components of the DoD. And then other agencies, the National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, Department of Energy, and there's 11 of them all together. We support companies as they're learning about those SBIR programs across all the agencies and across all industries and all technologies. We're agnostic on that, but we'll try to help you, identify good opportunities where your technology will have a good customer in the government. We can help you identify what the right programs are. We can help you think about, should you apply and should it be maybe to X-Tech or to the SBIR program or something else. We're more than happy to help you prepare an application You're going to write it, but we're happy to help you strategize on it, think about what makes a good proposal, and then we're happy to read it and then help you get going. And then once you're awarded a contract, we can help you with that, and then managing through performing on it. And that can mean getting ready for the next proposal, but it can also mean, as far as we can, we'll help you build relationships with potential customers or suppliers or other partners or maybe the Army Research Labs, whoever it happens to be. Our work is free to you. It's generally supported by, in Ohio, your tax dollars through Third Frontier, that's your liquor taxes in the end, and your income taxes through the U.S. Small Business Administration. So that's at the federal level. So that means that you've already paid, and so our services working with you are free, as are, I will mention it if Karen didn't, the services that come from the Apex accelerators. We are especially interested in supporting and broadening representation from underrepresented entrepreneurs in these fields, but we will work with everybody across Ohio and are glad to do it and do it all the time. Just the third slide is our contact information. I mentioned Anthony is also on the phone here, and here's mine. This will be in the slides, so you have it there. And I will put my contact information in the chat as well. And with that, I'm going to leave it and turn it back to Karen.
Thanks, Dan. You can see how a valuable partner they are to us here at Ohio Apex Accelerator. We work closely all the time. Tremendous resource partner. Now I'm going to be turning it over to another great resource for me here in Central Ohio and all of Ohio. One of our consultants here in Central Ohio for Apex Accelerator, Matt Slavic. He's going to be leading us through the Q&A. Matt?
Yep. Hello, everyone. So I'm Matt Slavic. I'm going to just be moderating. And so if you guys have any questions, if you want to put them through the chat now, we're going to start with a question for Dr. Willis about a question from Sue. She says, what area would something like 5G high-speed internet innovations go as far as different competitions and X-Tech programs are concerned?
Yes, that's a great question. It's certainly 5G is a space that and secure comms and a few other areas with that are certainly spaces that are both relevant domestically and to the Army through our secure comms platforms actually. So one of the big places I'd see where that fits is actually the newest area, contested logistics / sustainment S&T. And I know that sounds that probably doesn't translate very, very well, and we're working on the name, I will say. But that really focuses on how we can communicate and navigate in GPS denied environments or in places where we don't necessarily have the infrastructure that we have domestically. So I certainly think that will fit in there, and I will say that in the coming few months there are going to be, or I'm projecting that there will be some SBIR projects related to that. The other thing that I'll mention, and I kind of glazed over it, but so under X-Tech, we have both we still do an open topic competition. And again, that is open to any technology, from A to Z. And so we just wrapped up the 7th iteration of that, X-Tech Search 7. The 8th X-Tech Search 8 will be opening, I believe, in August for submissions. And so, while the timeline for that tends to be a little bit more drawn out, again, companies, that participate in that program not only get access to all of the education and the accelerator and mentorship, also receive prize competition or prize money along the way to offset participation costs. Then the winners of the X-Tech competitions are also eligible to receive an SBIR Phase 1 award. So the fact that both of these programs are managed under my portfolio, we do have a lot of Not all X-Tech competitions result in a SBIR award, and certainly not all SBIR projects start with X-Tech, but there are certain cases like the open topic one that we do have that connectivity. Hopefully that answers your question, Sue.
Awesome. And then we have another one, I think also for Dr. Willis, from Jill, wondering if there was a website to get on the mailing list for the different programs. Yeah, so just wondering if there's a different way to get on the mailing lists.
Yeah, so if you go to either xtech.army.mil or armysabr.army.mil, there is there should be a drop-down link where you can sign up to be on the mail server.
Awesome.
And if not, there's also like a box where you can, I won't give the email address because it's 1 million characters long. But if you go there, there is an actual person on my staff that answers all the emails, and we can certainly get everyone connected, because that's certainly, I'd say, is the easiest way to at least be aware of projects as they're released.
Okay, then we got a question about Parallax. So Lay, I think I said that right, is asking, do you provide support for all SBIR submissions or just for the Army? What is the best method to request your services, and do we go through our Apex counselor or contact you directly? Lee.
Hi, Lee. Thank you, this is Dan. Yes, we provide support for all the SBIR agencies, all 11 of them, the National Science Foundation, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, etc. And really work across the board. So not just the Army. You can request our services either directly, that's why I've got my contact information here and on the slides, or you can absolutely go through your Apex counselor. We work with all of them all the time, and we pass quote referrals back and forth, certainly on a weekly basis. So either way, whatever is convenient for you.
One quick add to what Dan is saying. Apex is definitely focused on DoD. One difference as far as the services we offer is really we work with companies interested in SBIR, STTR across all the agencies. So that is one difference if you're investigating potential opportunities with the agencies.
And I don't see any more questions in the chat. This is everyone's last chance.
Oh, we got one more from Sue, asking if there are any newsletters / subscriptions for competitions. Is that one for Parallax, or is that for Dr. Willis? Okay, so
Yeah.
for X, if there are any newsletters.
Yeah, so through X-Tech, absolutely. I think on a quarterly basis, we release some newsletters talking about prior competitions, upcoming competitions. There's also, I'll say, through the Small Business Administration. So if you go to SBIR.gov, that's the SBA's website for the SBIR and STTR program, and there's a place on there where you can sign up for a newsletter. So all of the opportunities that we have, and obviously we can't talk publicly about things we haven't announced publicly, but as those things feed into the pipeline, we send that to SBA to go out in this broad sort of listserv. So I would encourage you to sign up for that again at SBIR.gov, and that should encompass both SBIR opportunities and also X-Tech opportunities.
I want to add a little input there. If you're working with your Apex Accelerator counselor, you can work with them, because part of the services Apex provides is we search these websites for you for any new opportunities that do get launched, including SBIR and STTR opportunities. So you can get that in your daily email from us. Just work with your counselor on getting that set up for you to receive them.
And only that I would put in as far as just looking for information. If you have an idea of the particular agency that you're targeting, then I would go to their respective websites for the latest information, sign up to receive their email alerts as well.
All right, do we have any more questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. Are you, Matt?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Well, then I think we'll just call this a day. I want to thank Dr. Willis here. Tremendous presentation. I'll let everybody know that I am going to send copies of the Parallax and Dr. Willis's presentation. I'm going to email that to everybody after today. So you have a copy of all the information. And this recording will also be posted oh, we have one more question, Dr. Willis. They're wanting your contact information.
So I think on the slides that we send out, there should be a way to contact our office.
Okay, so you'll get those slides, and this has been recorded, and it'll be posted on the Ohio University Apex website. I'd like to thank our presenters and all our attendees for being here today, and wish you the best of luck in your innovation journey.